Hey folks, hi, good evening, and welcome to this discussion on three challenges. Lots to cover. We have discussions on Google Pay, Airtel, and Razorpay. We'll go in that order. So these three challenges over past, I think we had a break in the middle. So about a 1 month back is when we did the Airtel challenge, and before we took that break, it was Razorpay, and then last week just completed this week the challenge on Google Pay. Okay, we'll start with Google Pay first, and for each of these challenges, what I'm trying, and for those who are new, what I'll try to do is try to explain some of the thoughts, insights, why we picked that challenge, some things to consider, and also obviously run through the main points that are there or the main submissions that came through besides the winners, because the idea is to also show the other submissions that came through. We can't unfortunately show all the submissions because it becomes a hassle to manage. But yeah, we are still trying to figure out an easy and simple way that people can explore all the other submissions. Anyway, we'll start with Google Pay. Now, this is an interesting challenge. It's very different from all our other challenges. The reason being that we normally have a problem that we want to fix as a part of a challenge, right? So this is the Google Pay home screen for all those who are Google Pay users. I'm personally a phone pay user, so when I thought about this challenge, it was more so in terms of why Google Pay is doing the things that it is doing, right? Because I was trying to question as a user more than somebody who's already using the app, a new user, right? And maybe in that sense, a few things stuck out to me, right? So everything I was questioning, and I think Mayuresh on the discussion group mentioned a couple of points, and those were pretty much the same points that came to me. Nishit is a Google Pay user. He has very similar points as well, but those become not that important because you're used to using the app. So as I said, I'm a phone pay user. Just to draw an analogy, there are a lot of things on the phone pay app that are there, but really I don't know why they are there. It's the same thing with this, right? And what got me started on was, and again, mind you, this is a well designed, well thought out app, so it's not necessary to make a redesign. It's just that if you had to do it, what would you do? Anyway, so what got me started is this first card that you see, or a banner traditionally in most apps nowadays that you see. Some apps play it down a bit, but yeah, why does this take up so much space? Or is it really a banner in the banner sense? Could they have done something differently first up in the first fold, right? Is what got me started. And then obviously thoughts, once you start thinking in a certain way, you start thinking, is the other element needed? Is this element needed? And what other elements can be added? So the main idea of this challenge to solve it in a good way is obviously to do good prioritization. And that's the first point that I'm mentioning here, right? It's a different challenge. What really matters to the end user is what needs to be prioritized. I'll give you an example when what I mean by prioritization and what matters to the end user. Now, here we've given people, and this is obviously hypothetical. Those who are Google Pay users, you can check yours. Most of the times, it's not that important a place, right? I mean, how many people do you transact? People and not businesses. How many people do you transact regularly with, right? So maybe your relatives, or maybe somebody who's there in your house, or friends if you're in college. But is it that important to use case to place it there and across say two line items? Some of you, what you've done is you put it down into one row. I think because as I said again, coming from a phone pay user base, I think this is not at all relevant because I'm using the phone pay app. I don't think it's there at all, it doesn't make any difference to my life, right? Obviously, the question is that prioritization in the sense that I'm not saying do away with it. I'm just saying it could be put into one of these sections here or a section here. Now, speaking of sections, it's very interesting that nowadays most of the apps, and we are working with a client also, and we were trying to create a dashboard, so to speak, for their internal teams, right? An app for their internal teams. And initially, the dashboard view had just one page with no bottom navigation. And surprise, surprise, Google Pay also does not have a bottom navigation. Then you're just looking at all the apps, and over a period of time, what has happened is it's now become, and I think this started from iOS. Google apps did not have a bottom bar. Correct me if I'm wrong in that. But yeah, this is like 5, 10 year old conversation. It's not like very recent. Nowadays, if you see, most of the apps have a very prominent and useful bottom navigation because obviously proximity to your thumbs, etc. All those things matter. But Google Pay for some reason does not have it. So if you see the pattern of the feature designs, we did not have an outright winner. You can see most of them have a bottom navigation that we have kind of thought is a good way of improving that prioritization. Because basically, what that then does is gives a place for transactions, which is another point that a few of you have voiced. Is that what I need from my payment app is A, to make a payment, B, to see the payments that have happened, right? These are the two main things that come. And then obviously, there are related use cases, pay bill, recent transactions to billers, reminders, lots of other things come up, but these are the two main things. Here it's very difficult. I don't know where it is exactly. It may be in a fold below this, or it may be somewhere here. As a non-user, I'm absolutely not aware where exactly those transactions are shown. They may be shown within a card or within a transaction, that's fine. But I'm saying aggregation is not visible. So bottom navigation could have been great. So these were the elements that we were looking at before we went into the challenge. Will people think about that? And will people completely radicalize the design? So there were a couple of submissions we did that, and I'll show those to you. They're not part of the winner, so it will be interesting to see them. Okay, so this is one from Heyman, and all the ones that we are showing. So somebody mentioned on the group, right? They wanted to know why somebody is the winner. There's no winner in this challenge. Just let me be very clear on that, because each of the featured ones also have something that is lacking. I'm not here to point out that this is a miss or that is a miss. It's just that it needed a 10-15% extra to be called as a winner, worthy as a winner, because you have to, categorize that basis all the past winners also. But overall, he's done a very nice job. Like, as I said, prominence of the bottom navigation, that kind of helps, right? If you now look at it and if you just compare it what exists, why it does not have, I don't know. It may be due to the implementation that they have. So this app has a history, and I think it was a US and India app that was made jointly. The US app, if I'm not mistaken, has been shut down and then restarted. Correct me if I'm wrong. And the team that was leading it has completely gone out of Google. And this is what I'm aware of. But yeah, so maybe that history is playing in and they are not coming out with bottom navigation, because it seems like, common sense to have it. Anyway, besides that, what is important here is to see that he's put up these frequent transactions here. Now, the word frequent may not be that important. I think transactions suffices, because that is what matters. Frequent is subjective. And you rarely do frequent transactions that matter. The amount doesn't matter. The bank doesn't matter. The frequent transaction with a person. Like, I have a milk dairy right in front of my house. Almost every day or every other day, we go and get fresh milk. So that is a frequent purchase that I do. So if that is there, that is great, right? So frequent purchase, yes, makes sense. Transactions, that itself would have sufficed, right? Ignore the typo as such. But one thing that I would like to state is, in such a dominant app, in terms of like millions of users are using it, right? On the first hole itself, try what companies try to do, and Google is huge. Obviously, to them it does not matter. But imagine number of app opens that happen. Now it's this is a more or less a design problem, more a product manager engineering problem. But think of about it, and then your design prioritization also comes in that way. All the users across all Google Pay apps, right, open this app at least 4 or 5 times a day, assuming, right? Just assume, hypothetical, right? Those many number of times you have to pull this, right? You have to put a pull request on this and get this data populated. Now, is it worth the hassle to do that? Put that load on your server? Can it be hidden somewhere and put in a section that the person can navigate? That's why if you see PhonePe, on the first page, they don't show all of the recent transactions. What they show, because you have to go to that record and do some data aggregation on it and then pull it out and all of those things. Rather than that, what they do is put it in history, which is the same term they use, but they put it here, right, within the history tab. That is something that you can think about. And for those who are saying that, I want to see my recent transaction, that could be a reason why, say, a Google Pay or a PhonePe does not do it first up. For a smaller app or a smaller bank which does not have that much of an infra pull on its servers, it's okay. But for large companies, and again, it's not about the money, it's just about the loading performance of the app. And that then translates into design considerations, right? Obviously, from a UI perspective, you will say, why is that important? But from a business logic and responsiveness and then overall UX perspective, that is an important. Anyway, this was a good submission, nice points. Some of the points, as I mentioned, the transactions part could have been done slightly better, but overall a nice design, right? Just in terms of consistency of the cards, like for example, if you have a banner which is like, I don't know what this is, like 6 or 7 border radius, maybe these could have been the same way. So if you're doing it, maintain the consistency across, then it looks better to the eye as well. But overall, I think it's a nice design, right? This one is from Meenal. So design wise, the first time I had a look at it, I was not really, considering it. Nishit had a look at it and we discussed it. uh, Design is not the main reason why we picked this one. I think the concept of, I think what the person is trying to, Mina is trying to convey is that you can bookmark kind of frequent ones. So it's very similar to this one. This says frequent transactions, whereas this is like frequent interactions with businesses, right? So what she has here is prepaid, then her Mahavitran, which is the like a BSES or a electricity, Adani and all of those guys. So you can put those ones here, right? And this could be businesses, this could be individuals, this could be anything, right? That is the concept. So the concept is the reason why we've kind of liked it. Design wise, there could be lots more that can be done. I mean, if you just compare these two designs, obviously there's a gap. But I'm saying the thought process is good, right? I mean, and the idea was to reimagine the app. Obviously, you cannot just carry forward everything that the current app has. So nice work done. Again, what was holding her back in terms of an outright winner or a second place is the design of the overall app, especially because others have done a good design job, but conceptually it's exactly the same, right? A lot of people actually have almost the exact same app with maybe say 10% change. That is not what we were looking for. So good thought process, Meena. This one is from Praneet. I think Praneet, the overall app, I think if you just done it in the Google color theme, I think it would be, so there is a principle called Maya. And I think when we are looking at these submissions, we suffer from it because Maya basically is most advanced yet acceptable, right? So in design, in new products, in anything, there's a TEDx video. I've cited this a lot of times before. Go check it out. It has to be similar to what you're doing. It cannot be completely different. And I'm talking colors here, not in terms of the style, etc. The colors are totally different. And if it's a dark mode, then ideally it should have been like a dark mode like this, right? So it's nowhere near there. So obviously it's very difficult for us to call you a winner in that sense. And that is why we put you back. But compared to the other two designs, I think design wise, you've done a good job. Just that the point of, because see, for example, you put a banner image at the back. And sorry, I'm not here to criticize the design, but I'm just trying to share what more could have been done so that it would have, kind of gone a notch higher, right? Overall, it's a very, very nice concept. Again, prioritization is reduce the two columns, two rows to just one row. Whether it's needed or not, again, is a question to be asked. And again, recent transaction, he's tried to put it up. My question is whether a company like Google or PhonePe at their scale would want to have it upfront, right? So yeah, these were the three which you can obviously see on the site later on as well. But these are the ones that didn't make it through. Again, here design is not the reason why they're here. They're here because of some concept that they've done different. This is a totally different concept, right? Again, it will not work. I can be rest assured it will not pass muster in most design reviews, etc. But the thought process is nice, right? We are used to like horizontal rows, and cards, right? Why can't you have a vertical one? Bold, right? Different. So we thought just, we just highlight it. So good thought process. I'm not saying great design, but good thought process. Huge call outs for QR and pay again, right? I don't know if those work. And repeat of a QR, I don't know if that works that way. A bottom navigation, which people are used to, again, Maya coming back here. I think that is the easy thing to do. Maybe there's like a basic mode for older people. But again, is that the TG we are targeting? But the way he's laid this out is interesting, right? So nice work there, right? And this is from Omkar. I really like the concept. Design wise, I mean, overall design wise, overall consideration wise, this won't work. But look at the elements. So Omkar's most submissions, right? I think now it's been 5 or 6 or maybe 10 challenges, if I'm not mistaken. He's been participating regularly. Do check out the design quality of what he submits, right? Forget about whether he wins or not. Look at the quality of the design. And here the concept is also amazing. So kudos to you for taking a stab at it. I'm sure you could have done a job like this and won this challenge, right? If you wanted to with what you had, but you wanted to think differently. So kudos to you to do it. It looks like a ring kind of like the wheel of fortune kind of a thing that circle that kind of a thing. But it's interesting, right? Why can't apps be like this? It's a good thought process. We are used to seeing cards like this and columns like that. That's why maybe we don't like this as a concept. We as in I'm saying everybody, not me as an individual. Individually, I like the concept, but again, implementation right may never happen. You rarely would find Google make this kind of a app output. But yeah, as a concept, it's very nice. So kudos to you, Omkar, for trying this out, right? So this was the last one. I think overall design wise, across all the submissions, I think this was the cleanest design. And the thing is that it's clean, but there's nothing new here, right? So this one is from Priyanka. Very, very clean, very, very nice. And in fact, prioritization also is better than the current one, right? If you see my UPI ID, etc., UPI light activation, it's not hidden somewhere below here, which it gets lost below this, but it's called out upfront, right? These callouts are nice. I like the contrasting that she's done, right, with the icons. And overall, it's a very nice and neat design, right? If she had put a bottom bar, maybe it would have gone to featured slash second place. But yeah, overall, very, very nice design. So this was on Google Pay. As I said, it's a prioritization challenge. It was more about what you could do differently, yet enable all the basic features or functions that a payment app should have, right? And a payment app for us is like most likely UPI today. So UPI is number one, and then obviously other payment modes and payment transactions come there, right? So this was Google Pay. From this, I'll quickly move on. I think I've taken more time than I should have taken to the next challenge. Next challenge, the one that was done before Razorpay, that is Airtel, before we took the break. Now, first and foremost, I think there are a few points that I'd like to talk about on Airtel. The recharge pages of, for those who are 1980s, early 1990s born, you will understand how important the price points were, right? Telecom was a space where you had to pay 10 for 1 GB, you had to pay 300 rupees, if I'm not mistaken, and then it became 10 GB, 300 rupees. And pricing was a very important part. Jio came and just completely changed the market, right? Nobody really cared about the price because initially it was free, then it was hardly 100 rupees. Who cared? It was about how much GB of data per day. But now, since the price has been hiked about 20-25% across plans and more on the cheaper plans, right? So expensive plans have not risen as much as the cheaper ones. This is going to start pinching people's pockets, right? If you just do a calculation, right, you were paying say 300 or maybe 1,000 rupees for the cheapest plans in a year to 2,000 over a course of say 1 year. This has happened, one and a half year, and it's going to increase even further, right? There is no reason for them to stop. So they're going to increase the prices more. What happens then is the pricing plans and the way they are laid out make a huge difference. Now, with design and choices, what happens is people get more confused. So if you see the current Airtel or even Jio or even Vodafone, right, it is absolutely confusing for say somebody who's come in fresh. Obviously, none of us have. It's a basic necessity now. But somebody is going from say a postpaid to a prepaid and tell him to choose a plan. He's going to go mad, right? So many things to consider, right? First of all, do you want how many GB of data do you want? What is the price point? It's almost like going and selecting a car. So many things you need to decide, but it's not that important of choice consideration in your life, right? You just do it and you're done with it. Most important here is that you will only do a recharge from Airtel. You're not going to do a Geo recharge on Airtel, right? So you're not going to make your choice preferences or shift. Like we go to Amazon, we do a price compare and we see what is good and etc. etc. We look at what's of value and then we go to Flipkart. But here that's not the case. Here the case is that would you do it on Airtel's website or you go on some other third-party payment like your bank's app or like a credit or somewhere else and you get a discount. The job of the product manager or a designer here on Airtel is to ensure you don't do that. It's not just about making these cards better and for you're going to do the recharge. I mean, no matter what happens, very less chance you're going to port out just because of a 20%. Very less chance, right? Your job is to ensure that the person does not move from this page to another like a Paytm or any other payment app or even a phone pay like the previous one or a Google Pay, right? So what you need to do is obviously make the person's life simpler. But what happens with simplicity is that you end up making good choices, right? So unfortunately, what business and I was a part of Airtel, so I pretty much not this page, but the page previous to this, we were designing and we've kind of shipped it ourselves. I know for a fact that the more plans you show, it becomes more confusing and people make suboptimal choices for themselves, right? For the business, that's a good thing. It's a contradiction, and as designers, it's something that you should think about, right? Who are we creating for? Who are our customers, right? Ideally, you should have just a default plan, one plan that the person has been recharging on. Some of you have done that as a concept, and the rest of it really doesn't matter. Like there are, I think, I don't know, 100 plans that are listed here, if I'm not mistaken. They don't matter. International roaming, etc., etc. Doesn't matter, but wo dikha dete, right? Because then so many numbers come in your mind, you say, forget it, yeah, let's just do a basic recharge. Let's not bother about 50 rupees here and there. 50 rupees is a huge sum across 900 million customers. And 900 million is not Airtel. Airtel is like 200, 300 in them. But 900 million customers, 50 rupees per month is huge money, right? So as a designer, you need to balance both, right? As a business, obviously, you want the person to make the least suboptimal choice. Hence, so Meet put a comment. Meet has been with UXAC. I know he's engaged in lots of challenges before. He made a very important point. I remember the day rate, the per day rate is something that matters a lot to people. How much am I paying? So, for example, the per day rate for this plan. Right? How do you compare these plans? It's not just the price point and the benefits. It's do you divide the price with the number of days. I think most of you already must be doing it, but for those who don't, I'm just saying that they've given a decent nudge of 250 per month, but that is a bit misleading. It's not truly that way. The better is to do it this way or do it basis GP, right? And that's the point that I mentioned here. That what people should or ideally can do. Not everybody does do it. So maybe as designers, it's your job to put it up front that per day rate or per GB rate what it is, and then you can compare. And that's what I generally do to find out what is the most optimal plan for me. I go ahead and find out 84 days is better or 56 days. It's just that kind of a consideration. Overall plan is fine, right? So one was that part, nudges, making job easier, and also balancing business interest and giving prioritization to elements that matter in play. So as a design, this is not bad at all. It's pretty decent, but can you do a bit more? And a lot of people have done a nice job on that. So I'll go to the submission, and I think while there was just one winner, there were a lot of great submissions. So I'll go. So this is Sachin's work. I think the reason why he's one is almost all the things that we talked about just now. He's tick mark, right? So what matters is validity matters, right? Per day rate matters. So he's put quick filters on that. He's put a quick search. People search by price. I remember in Airtel, there was this 222 yearly recharge for those who know, right? Unlimited, truly unlimited names. Ka naam I forget. Year recharge, you just keep the validity going, right? No talk time benefit, nothing of that sort. So people know the price point. So and this is not just about India now. earlier what used to happen is you go to a small retail shop and then you do a recharge. Now almost everybody does it on their phone or the app, right? So the price point also is something that people remember. So rather than people searching basis the name, and the price points have changed, right? So what was 100 has become 120 with a 20% hike. So how do you build that consideration is also interesting as a product challenge, not just as a design thing. You can even think about it. Acha, if somebody searches 100, then did you mean the updated price is 120? Sorry for going tangentially, but this is for me, it's exciting. For most people, will be like, "Isme kya hai yaar?" It's a small thing. But excellent work overall. He's done all the elements that I talked about. Spend a little time and give a little credence to each element that he's thought through, right? Obviously, there's some more things that he could have done better, but I think overall, fantastic submission. Unfortunately, we couldn't pick a second one, largely because there were 3 or 4 who were absolutely near about that second. So generally, what we do is when you have one outright second, we give it to second. But if there are 3, 4, we say nobody second, it's just one winner, right? This is not those second ones, but this I'm sharing because Anusha, I don't know if you have sales experience in from B2C, because this is actually what works in the market, right? You name your plans. If you see what she's done is she's named the plans Mahabachat. This is UX copy, basically, right? Lakshmi, Cheetah, Ghoda. These are names that sell in the market, right? Abhi, you must be thinking, ये कैसे नाम है? These are very strange name, but this works, right? तो चीता प्लान ले लो, right? घोड़ा प्लान ले लो, right? भागता है या तेज जाता है. Nice concept, nice, well thought out. But design wise, yes, there's lots more that you can do. But the thought process is very, very nice. If you come marry this with some of the other submission, I think you have a very, very nice submission, right? And again, you can cater basis the market. So if it's a tier 2, tier 3 market, these names gain more prominence. In an urban setting, that's not that important, right? Just the thought process. Then I'll move to this one. Okay, so this design from Bhanu, we did call it out, but it's almost exactly like Geo's. That's why it didn't win. Otherwise, design wise, nice. So if you go to Geo's, and I'm a Geo customer as well, so that's why I was aware. It's almost exactly like that. Minor changes, the cards are almost the same. Hence, we could not pick it up as one. But overall, design wise, it's pretty nice, right? This is from Hemant. Hemant came very close. I think, again, if you see, only 10 rupees per day, right? Calling out that element that matters to the user. But I would say if you want to compare across plans, then that is the same element that you should use everywhere. So, for example, only 10 rupees per day. This should only be what 15 rupees, whatever it is that amount that comes to. It should be easy for the person to compare, right? And this middle panel that could have been done a bit better, right? It is just exactly जैसे recharge sites पे होता है वैसे डाल दिया. It could have been put in a better structure, right? This was from Hemant. This is from Komal. I think nothing wrong in this design. Just that when you compare with what Sachin has, there's a big gap. And there are this recharge. Recharge is something that seems redundant. I think one point we mentioned is remove the redundant elements, right? So this recharge button is not really needed. It can be a card kind of a layout. You just put a chevron here that kind of gives an indicator that there is a forward flow. No need to have view details, recharge everywhere. You could have reduce the prioritization for that. One good thing that she has done, or maybe two things that are important. One is good thing is that she's put the price point as the most important thing. That is exactly what matters to the end user. Maybe a bit too much, but ideally it should be on the right. Ideally, right? Because while we scan left to right, when the decision is made, and again, this might be my own subjective view, when the decision is being made, that is the closest place where you should have the price point. You can check out some portals like OTAs where you're doing flight booking, hotel booking. Price is generally on the right side, rarely on the left side, because then what happens is the person starts getting confused and then he forgets about the price, right? Very, very minor point, but yeah, just for Komal, in case you want to consider it, think about if you put it on the right, how it would, right? This I wanted to have as the second base, Mayuresh. Again, very good work. Just that in terms of the design, it did not fit in with Airtel's style. So one important thing we said is it has to match what Airtel is currently doing. Should not look like a different company design. Slightly that green does not come out. I think he's trying to do green largely because to tell him that this is the best one for you. But somehow it looked a bit different. What I like though as a concept, every other element is largely others have done it or have certain elements. What I liked is this part, right? As I said, in our evaluation criteria, you want to ensure that the person does not go discount hunting, right? As a designer or a PM, the person should, if he's come to this site to do a recharge, he should complete it and go away and only then go, right? This kind of a small nudge, a 5% discount, obviously, if you need to have HDFC credit card, but you could have a cycle of, banners. So if you see PhonePay's recharge page, I think they do lots of these elements, right? PhonePay app, you can try it out. I don't know if Google Pay also has that, but they do this kind of a nudge so that the minute you open a recharge page there, you will almost certainly complete it and you'll take the discount as well. So Airtel can also do that because they have tie-ups with all these partners. So why not have that element come in? They have an app-only offer that is also not shown. So these kind of nudges help. And obviously, this overall nudge obviously works out great. This might have a data privacy issue. The flow we've shown is for people who have not logged in, right? You just put in a mobile number and recharge. So I don't know if you ideally want to show it, but yeah, the thought process is great, right? Showing based on your patterns, show a recommended plan that they anyway do when you log in, right? But we had shown a logged out, small minor point. And this last one, I think this is the last one again, no, second last one. This is from Omkar. Design quality is great. Just that I think these, trying to be innovative with the CTAs, I think just does not work. Ideally, if you compare all the other cards, a simple rounded CTA would have very minor point. And these look like tabs, right, Omkar? So just one or two minor points that held it back. But again, this was in the consideration for a second place, right? The call out of the number, as you can see, and Komal, you can compare Omkar's design with yours. When you place the biggest important most element, which is the price on the right, see the impact that it does. The proximity to making the payment, like you're going that way, it improves the overall card style. That's again my subjective view. That's what maybe I'm used to seeing. And maybe if that is the way it is, if people are used to seeing prices on the right, we should have it. Overall, this one's also very nice one from Rohan. He's done something that I have mentioned for a previous design. Show the day rate everywhere. Excellent work there, Rohan. Just one thing, I think this was again very close to second place consideration. You've made this almost looks like a CTA. Now you just compare all the designs, right? The red ones are all CTAs, right? Reds are all CTAs. This is not a CTA. Free unlimited 5G is not a CTA. It's a very minor point, but minor points are what decide the winner and the second place. So if this was not the case, I think you would have been second place or even challenging for the first, largely because of this idea. This makes the person job very easy. Again, the price could have been on the right, same thing I'm repeating. But now कुछ है ही नहीं सोचने के लिए, right? The person sees अच्छा 10 rupees per day, 16 rupees per day, 6 rupees, अच्छा let's go with this. At least her life becomes much easier rather than comparing 15 different parameters or 5 different parameters in terms of this, right? So, and this was one more. Achha, I think there were 8 submissions that we said were honorable, 7 submissions honorable mention. This is Swarnava. I think overall very nice card design set. Just that this is taking up unnecessary space. So if you compare with the other ones, right, you could have used that space for something else, right? This space could have been used better. These additional benefits, they are barely visible in that. Does not kind of make sense wasting this space for this. Ideally could have been paid, right? Just wanted to give a little clarification because you guys have put in a lot of effort in this challenge. As I said, lots of very nice submissions that have come through for this challenge. Okay, now I'll quickly move to the Razorpay challenge. And this again is a unique challenge, largely because this is the first, I think the only challenge that a B2B challenge that we've done, right? Just close these windows, hold on. Till then, if you have any questions, if you have any doubts, please do go ahead and ask them. Don't wait for me because as I said, I have to rush through this one. Barely any time to complete all of them. Okay, Razorpay challenge. The only one which is a B2B challenge that we've done. I don't think we've done any other B2B challenge. Now, with B2B, what differs from consumer products and why we don't do them, although they have some fantastic problem statements, is that most people do not get to actually try out the product or they do not understand the actual end use case. So I'll explain the end use case for people who are not aware. What happens is, and this is, we work with Razorpay because our billing happens via that for all B2C transactions and even B2B transactions, many B2B transactions. What happens is you need to file returns or you need to file invoices, you need to collect those invoices. And this dashboard view or this view is a way to get those invoices for yourself. This dropdown has different reports. For us, what matters for this challenge is the invoice for the month, right? So this is a regular activity that a person has to do, right? At the company, the person, and especially if it's a startup, it's a hassle. If you have to go and select a month, select a year every single time. The idea was, and we kind of gave it away, that you should have nudges to make life easier for most likely, so in our case, it's Nishit who does that. It might be a very senior person at a startup who's doing that because there's nobody else to do that. We do it ourselves, or there must be an accounts person who does that, right? So the thinking should be that way, right? While they've said we've done a futuristic design, etc., that does not matter for businesses. Whereas consumer products, all the design elements, all the aesthetics, all the beautiful imagery, all the banners matter. Here, what matters in B2B is quickness and functionality. So if the functionality is great and you're quickly able to do what you want, and the design is average to even sometimes poor, it's okay. It's like some of the most boring software like SAP, right? I think SAP has never had a redesign, if I'm not mistaken. It has a very archaic looking design, yet it functioned great. I think somebody put up a post of ServiceNow. We have a few people working there from UXAC. ServiceNow design long back, even now to some extent, even Salesforce. These designs are not great as products when you look at it from as a consumer product, right? But from a B2B perspective, the design is not about what UI you create. It's about how the person uses the product, how you make it easier for the person to use it. And here the main problem is that if I want a monthly invoice, why is it then that I have to do 2 more drop downs, right? I have to select it. Obviously, what they're trying to give you is functionality to the nth level, like you can customize your report, etc. But what I want is, I'm in August, so August 1st, I want July ka report. I want, say, June ka report, or I want past 3 months ka report. These use cases, they already know. So while they may have given a lot of thought to design, and Razorpay has fantastic designers, they've really not thought about what the end user wants, right? They've tried to prioritize design over what the user considerations, right? Some of you, surprisingly, I don't know how that's happened, have already understood this, right? So Mayuresh was the winner and Pooja was second up. You guys have hit it. As you can see, the design is not much better than what exists, right? But what Mayuresh has done has simplified. So if I'm the business owner, for me, this is exactly what I need. I want, say, last month's invoice. I just tap this and start down. That's it, done. Last 3 months, generally it's quarter or 1 month. That is what is needed. This suffices for me. He's also given a format drop down, and also given an option to recurring, and also seen recent invoices if you want a listing of that. I think, I don't know how, Mayuresh, maybe you work in an organization that is focused on this, but I think this is spot on. This is 10 times or 100 times better than what exists right now here, right? This feels like a page that has not been thought through from a user's perspective, more from a design perspective. Oh, we've done something great. But if you see from an actual usability perspective, I think this is a fantastic submission. Again, B2B products don't get the prominence they do, but there are some fantastic problems that are worth solving. Just a note to people who are young designers or just coming into design, try and work in a B2B company, right? Try and do design problem solving in B2B rather than just be enamored by B2C problem statements. Because what happens is B2C, it's about aesthetics, but the real problems there and where it's needed to be solved is in B2B, right? So anyway, small tangential point, but fantastic work from Mayuresh. Covers all the aspects that we just talked about, right? Quickly getting to what you need, giving different options. So you have, I'm assuming, a CSV, PDF. You can see all the ones that are there, transaction invoices previously that are there, and you can get them downloaded, view all the invoices. Some people have even shown previews. I think Omkar has done that. I'll come to that one. So this, well, just comparison, this is first, this is second. Design wise, this may not be great. I think functionality wise, this is what I was saying, right? It hits all the same points, right? You want customize, you can. Acha, one more point that Nishit mentioned, and since Nishit is the primary user in our organization, he said is, while you want a quickness to it, you want customization also. So if you want a custom report, say last week's invoice, then you should be able to do that as well. And this is what her design does. Yes, this could have been designed better. I think what she's done is quickly try to copy paste it onto this, and that's okay. We got the overall concept. Well thought out. Good work, Pooja, right? So this was the second one. This is from Ankit. I think he's done the part on quick nudges and quickly getting to what you want, monthly, quarterly, very nice. But this, maybe you could have then dropped, right? Why is this then, selection of your customization? Maybe you could have done a slightly different way. This does not reduce the overload that is there, which exists in the current one, right? You have to select this and you have to select that. Was zaruri nahi tha. But overall, it's a good improvement from what exists, right? This is from Meenal. Again, nicely done. Just that the customization part goes a little away. I'm not able to understand how do I customize. There is a customize tab here, but it could have been, there's enough space to play around with it right now here and give a calendar kind of a view. Slight balance that you need to drive. And again, invoice ke saath, it is a drop down, which is a monthly invoice that is already there. This terminology might be slightly confusing. Some people did ask a question one-on-one, what is there in the drop down, but as you mentioned on the group also, this is only about the monthly invoice that is needed, right? So nice design, called out as a honorable mention. And the last one is from, this was very nice as a concept from Omkar. What he does try to do differently, I'm just highlighting what he has done differently, is he's tried to show a preview of the invoice. It's a little difficult to do an implementation in this way. I don't know if it adds value, but as a concept, it's nice, right? This part of the design as such could have been better aligned, right? Maybe it could have been done in a better way, slightly better, especially when you compare with the winner. There are elements that could have been done better in terms of design, but as a concept, he's done a pretty good job. And again, option to select the format, this also matters because sometimes you have to add this downloaded invoice to another database system. That is pretty much it from my side. If there are any questions, do let me know. Otherwise, we are pretty much done. And thanks everybody for participating. We are hitting like a 20-30 consistent submission rate. We are working on getting all the submissions. A lot of people have asked us, we want to see all the submissions. We are working on that. Once it's ready, we'll let you know. We want it to be a good way that people can navigate it, because you need to understand there are about 30, 40, 50 submissions. In that, some of them, like about 5 or 10 are good. The others are average and some of them are poor. So filtering it becomes a challenge. And for you, just dumping it on you may become a difficult thing for you to navigate. It doesn't add value, right? That is the reason why we don't have it yet. And for this video, that's pretty much it. I'll leave you with just one point, more relevant for senior designers. We just put out a design role on our group as well as mailers. In case you know somebody who has that level of experience. In fact, I think this is the highest paid job we have on a platform that we put out from one of our clients. This is for a UX designer role, completely remote and real estate based. Do check it out. If you know somebody, share it with them. If you yourself are in that relevant category of 6 years plus, it is a senior designer role. Do apply. And we'll soon see you. The next challenge most likely is going to be on Rapido. One of you as a member had said that, let's give this a shot. So most likely it's on Rapido. We'll confirm tomorrow and I'll see you then. Okay. That's pretty much it for this one. I'll see you very, very soon next week. Thanks so much. Bye.